Time of viewing unknown. What is to come is also unknown. But one thing is certain. Just at this moment, you are losing all sense of life's difficult responsibilities as you look into the screen. You have come here because it was a choice. Your choice. To forget what life has thrown at you, and to enjoy the next 20 or 30 odd minutes, until it is time to once again face the things we do not want to face. It is now time to enter the wormhole of YouTube, where time becomes obsolete, or less commonly known as the Twilight Zone. That's right, guys. We are doing Twilight Zone stuff today.
Boy.
Yes, we are.
Get your warm blankets to sit under because it's gonna get weird.
I thought you were gonna say like cold, eerily cold. Weird? What does that do with blankets?
Because when something's gonna be weird, you usually want a blanket around.
Okay, alright.
That's what you want. I'm just preparing them. Come on.
Okay.
Trying to help you.
Okay. Alright, so yes, we were talking about the Twilight Zone today. We love that show. I especially really like it. And we can get started and just tell you exactly what certain things we're going to talk about with the Twilight Zone.
So the creator of the Twilight Zone, Rod Serling, as we met earlier.
Yes, we did.
Was incredibly thoughtful about each episode of the show and always left you with something to ponder and think about, or get completely creeped out by, because a lot of them are very creepy.
Yes, they are.
He wanted to leave you with thoughts that ordinarily you probably would have not thought about.
You know, he covered many topics like fantasies, fables, parallel universes, sci-fi, and much more. But today, we're going to be focusing on a few of the Twilight Zone episodes about the future. And the reason we put the future in air quotes is because some of the dates here have already passed, so it's not really future anymore.
To him, it was the future.
Right. But it's pretty interesting to see what he thought might happen in the years to come versus what actually took place in reality's future. So we just want to share, even though some of them are past, some of them aren't, this was what Rod Serling might have thought that the future could be. And we thought it was really interesting.
This is where it went to.
Yes. And so we were just going to share the summary of some of these future episodes, and then we're just going to talk about what we thought was interesting about it and what it is like compared to the reality of what the future was.
What it's like now.
Yes.
So number one, we are going to begin with The Lonely. This was 1959, season 1, episode 7. So one of the beginning ones. So in 2046, so we're not there yet.
So we don't know.
In 2046, a convicted criminal named James Corey is placed in a form of like solitary confinement where he's alone on an asteroid 9 million miles from the Earth. He's been there for 4.5 years and is looking forward to the return of the supply ship and the goods that it may have for him. When it arrives, Captain Allenby has a surprise for him, a female robot named Alicia. On the inside, she's a robot through and through, but her exterior is human-like in every way. As the story goes, Corey gets more and more attached to Alicia and eventually sees her not as a robot, but as a real human being who he loves deeply.
That's a little tricky. Yeah.
After an unknown amount of time, the spaceship returns and Captain Allenby brings the news that Corey has been pardoned. Well, that's good news. He can return home to Earth immediately, but Corey learns there's only room for him and 15 pounds of luggage.
Oh boy.
He then realizes that the 15-pound limit is far too small to accommodate Alicia. He frantically tries to find some sort of way to take Alicia with him, arguing that she's not a robot, but a woman. In the hurry to leave, because the captain's had it, he draws his gun and he shoots Alicia in the face to prove that she is nothing more than a piece of metal. The robot breaks down, malfunctioning. Her face is a mass of wire, and she repeats the name Corey. Captain Allenby then takes Corey back to the ship, assuring him he will only be leaving behind loneliness.
So that, again, we can't really say if
Who
this
knows?
won't be
Maybe
a thing.
criminals will be on asteroids.
I know.
I don't know.
We're not there yet. So, it says that he was 9 million miles away from Earth. But so far, now, this is interesting because it was kind of a while ago, but the farthest a human has ever been into space, or several humans, was the Apollo 13. And that was 248,655 miles away from Earth. And the Apollo 13 reached this distance on April 15th, 1970. So that was a while ago, and that's the farthest we've been.
We've not gone farther.
No, and that's not very far compared to 9 million miles.
Ooh, no.
But actually, the Voyager 1 is the furthest human-made object to go away from Earth, and that was, so far, it's been 13 billion miles from this planet, and that was in 2019, so it's probably farther than that now. So if for that it works, because it's even farther.
But it just seems like a lot of money to take a criminal somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
it's very expensive.
It is
criminal
very far.
Passage.
I don't know if they'd ever really do that. Like, solitary confinement, I know, that happens in prisons, and the closest thing I could find to this was on Earth, but Albert Woodfox spent between 22 to 24 hours a day in solitary confinement for 44 years before he was set free. Wow. 44 years. Yes, that's 44 years, and then there are a few others that have been 40 years, 30 years, in that kind of area, but they've all been on this planet, so.
Yeah, I noticed how, this guy falls in love with the robot. He gets attached to her, but in our day and age, how many of us are attached to our phones? Not
that's
that
true.
we're in love with them.
No.
Because we're not. But, I mean, if you were, told you couldn't bring your phone somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That
I'm
would
just
be-
saying, people are pretty attached.
They
He
are
was
pretty
onto
attached.
something
He
there
really
with
was.
the robot sort of
Yeah.
becoming more than a robot. Like, you're more connected to it.
Right. It's interesting though because I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah. So if you look at the picture, I mean, that's obviously just like a regular actress, and I was like, well, that's a little unrealistic because at this point we have robots, but they're not like humans, right? But I looked it up.
Have you seen?
Sophia.
Oh, it's creepy.
Have you seen? So I looked it up. I was like,
weird.
Is there anything that's like this in real life? And guys, it's really creepy. There is. This robot is named Sophia, and it was activated in 2015. And guys, it looks like a woman. You can see the head, there's things moving and stuff, but she's having a conversation. She's able to have expressions. She's able to answer questions.
React to what you're saying?
Yeah, she's able to react. She's able to have simple conversations, and she's able to remember faces. And this was in 2015. Who knows how advanced she is now? Guys, it's really creepy, and I don't like
something
it.
there. I mean,
I know.
I think that's really strange.
I know.
A robot shouldn't be able to do that.
No, but no, it's actually true. This is actually a real thing. And actually, it's pretty accurate, to be quite honest, with the robot thing, because we're still behind that timeline. Who knows when we get to there how realistic they'll
if we're
be
that
by then.
close by now.
Yeah. But I also find kind of interesting, their helmets. It's like 1920s, football helmets.
That's the funny thing when you watch this, because it's he's onto some stuff, and then you're looking at the costumes, and you're like,
the costumes
okay.
never really cut it.
But you know
but
what?
The thought behind it.
That wasn't his area.
No.
That was somebody else, and they didn't know what they were doing.
No. So the next one is called The Old Man in the Cave. And this was 1963, Season 5, Episode 7. So, in a town in 1974, 10 years after a nuclear war has devastated the U.S., the townspeople have discovered a supply of canned food. However, they are waiting for Mr. Goldsmith, the town's leader, to return with a message from the mysterious and unseen old man in the cave, who will tell them whether the food is contaminated with radiation. Some of the townsfolk want to take their chances and eat the food, but they refrain from doing so after a past disaster happened when they failed to take the old man's advice. When Mr. Goldsmith returns, he tells them that the old man has decided that the food is contaminated and that it should be destroyed. Shortly thereafter, a group of soldiers led by Major French enter the town and clash with Goldsmith as they try to establish their authority, as the soldiers may or may not be representatives of the U.S. government. French reveals that there are maybe 500 people left alive between Buffalo, New York, and Atlanta, Georgia, and also talks of small, isolated, primitive societies on the shores of Lake Erie and in what used to be called Chicago. He claims his job is to organize the region so that society can be rebuilt. However, However, Goldsmith believes that French and his men simply want to strip the town of its food. Soon, frustrated by Goldsmith's steadfast refusal to bend, French tries to talk the townspeople out of their strange beliefs about the old man in the cave and take control of the area. French tempts the townsfolk with some of the food Goldsmith claims was contaminated, and many throw caution to the wind and partake in the food. Everyone except Goldsmith eventually consumes the food, and Goldsmith falls into disfavor amongst the townsfolk. After being bullied and threatened with his life, Goldsmith finally opens the cave door, and it is ultimately revealed that in reality, the townsfolk had been using information from a computer the whole time. French rallies the townspeople into destroying the machine, after which French leads the people into celebrating their newfound freedom from the computer. However, as Mr. Goldsmith has insisted, the old man was correct. Without an authority figure to tell them which food was safe, the entire human population of the town, including French and his soldiers, die from eating the contaminated food, except for the lone survivor, Mr. Goldsmith. So they didn't listen to the computer, and this is what happened. I know. I think this is a big topic for Rod Serling. I think he really saw, like, with all the technology, even though it was not very advanced then, he kind of saw what would happen.
Well, some people are very good at, like, they know what's going to catch on. Mm-hmm. They'll know, like, this is going to be a thing.
Like buying stocks or something.
Yeah, and he was like, technology is going to be a thing. AI is going to be a thing.
I know.
And he was right. I mean, look at how we all run our lives. You know, we all need technology.
Yeah, we really, I mean, what would we do without Google Maps? What would we do without our phones with us constantly? Think about, I mean, I can't even think about going somewhere without my phone to call someone. Like, you used to just go out and drive on the highway
come back when you're done.
You could run out of gas. What were you going to do, you know?
But yeah. Or, I mean, even the same scenario. What if there's food that might be recalled? How are you going to find out if it's recalled? We go to Google.
I know.
So you are asking a computer.
Right. That's exactly right.
So
anytime I see a food, I'm like, I mean, anytime I have a question about something I have, I'll go look on Google.
Exactly. So
and
we all go to the old man in the cave.
I know. Yeah. It's the computer, guys. It's the computer.
Moving on to the Rip Van Winkle Caper. This was 1961, Season 2, Episode 24. In 1961, to escape the law after stealing $1 million worth of gold bricks from a train, a band of 4 thieves, led by scientists Farwell, hide in the secret cave in Death Valley, California. Farwell explains to his 3 assistants that he has designed suspended animation chambers in which they will sleep for approximately 100 years, figuring that by 2061 the gold will no longer be hot. I guess that means
they won't find
stolen.
It. Yeah, they won't know.
And they can sell it without arousing suspicion. All 4 end up agreeing to the plan and undergo the sleep procedure at the same time.
And again, this hasn't happened yet, so we don't. They could be asleep right now. We don't know.
Maybe they did steal gold and they're gonna wake up. We don't know. When in the episode they do wake up, all that remains of one of the thieves is his skeleton. The sleep chamber was cracked by a falling rock.
I believe, just a little context, the reason that this is really telling is that some of them don't believe that they actually slept that long, but once they see the skeleton, they're like, oh, I guess we did.
Because he's dead.
Yeah.
And I guess they say that it was cracked by a falling rock at some point during the 100 years of their sleep. One of the thieves, DeCruz, offers to guard the gold in the back of their truck while another thief, Brooks, drives to the nearest town. But Brooks does not trust that DeCruz. He doesn't trust him, and he insists that he drive. DeCruz decides then to kill Brooks by running into him with a truck, but when the brakes fail, he bails out and the truck crashes into a ravine. After that, Farwell and DeCruz have to walk through the desert in the summer heat, carrying as much gold as they can on their backs, because remember, this is Death Valley.
I know.
So, not a great place to hide out.
The best location
to
hide your
you go to sleep
chamber.
in Death Valley, but okay. Farwell loses his canteen, and DeCruz sells him a sip of water from his canteen for the price of 1 gold bar. When the water is nearly gone, and the fee then goes up to 2 bars. And then Farwell strikes DeCruz with a gold brick, killing him. So we're down to 1. They all kill each other. Farwell continues, gradually discarding gold bars as the weight becomes increasingly harder to carry. Finally, weak and dehydrated, he collapses. Farwell regains consciousness and finds a man standing over him. Farwell offers him his last gold bar in exchange for water and a ride to the nearest town, but he dies before the man can respond. The man returns to his car and tells his wife the man is dead. He remarks about the oddity of Farwell offering him a gold bar as if it were valuable. What? She reminds him that people once used it for money, but he points out that was a long time ago, before they found a way to manufacture it. Ooh.
So this is a very well done episode. I really enjoyed it, but I'd say it's one of the least accurate when it comes to the future.
Well,
so I mean,
we can't
again,
sleep more than we're
so that's
supposed
yeah,
to
that's
right
one
now.
thing. You can't preserve yourself to, not age. That's not a thing. But it's kind of ironic because 1 million in gold bricks then is worth $8.7 million today. So
Yeah.
it's gone way up.
It's the opposite of what he thought was
I
going to
know.
happen, which is funny.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder if there was something in the 1960s that made him think this could happen. But so far it has not happened. It's
We
just
cannot
gone up.
manufacture gold,
No.
folks. You gotta get the real thing.
You got it, yeah. It can't be artificial. But there's also one more thing I want to point out. It's kind of funny. So if you look at the car, this is what they thought a futuristic car would look like.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I'm not sure what the point of the round windows are. I feel like that would be kind of tough to look out of. It kind of reminds me of the suction cups that you put on windows to hang things. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, and then there's got this accordion looking thing.
It looks
It's
like
an
a-
air conditioner.
Yeah, an air conditioner or the furnace, that goes along the wall. That's what I think. I don't know. I think they like to do this a lot, where they thought it'd be very open, but it's not now. I mean,
Yeah, we still are not safe driving without being covered.
right. And if you go with Teslas, I will give them, if they were going for a pod, there are Tesla cars that look like little pods, like space pods.
Yes, that's a thing.
I've seen those driving around. But I'd say more than open, they've more just gotten slick and smooth. And
Yeah, the general design of a car is still the same.
it is. It's just, it's condensed. It's not, there's not the longness that there used to be of cars.
They've just smushed it.
Right.
The Long Morrow is our next one. This is 1964, Season 5, Episode 15. 31-year-old astronaut Douglas Stansfield, in the year 1987, well, we've been there, so we're gonna find out if it happened or not, is scheduled in 6 months to be sent on an exploratory mission to a planetary system roughly 141 light years from Earth. That's a long way.
That's pretty far.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
Although the spacecraft will travel at the rate of 7 times the speed of light, the round trip will still take 40 years. To save him the ordeal of 40 years of loneliness, because that would be terrible, he is to be placed in a newly developed suspended animation machine, I guess, just like the other people.
Yeah, that's what they called it. I'm not sure.
Suspended animation. I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
He's going to be put in there for the 20-year trip and again for the 20-year return trip. And during his time in suspended animation, he will age only a few weeks. So there you go. Pretty good deal. Shortly before his mission, he meets and is enchanted by his colleague, Sandra Horn. Oh, Sandra. After meeting that night, they fall in love with each other and realize the fact that when Stanfield returns, Sandra will be an old woman.
That's right.
Well, 40 years later, Stansfield returns to Earth, and the discoveries he made on his mission were achieved earlier by technology developed after his departure.
It was in vain?
So he didn't even have to go.
Oh,
Sandra is waiting for him, still 26 years young. She also had put herself in suspended animation during Stansfield mission.
It's all gonna be
isn't
good?
that sweet? I mean,
Which
that's such a
fine.
cute love story.
Right.
However, Stansfield had voluntarily disabled his suspended animation system 6 months into his journey after a communications failure on his ship, and now is a man of 70. He endured 40 years of loneliness in the hope of being with Sandra when he returned. Sandra offers to continue the relationship, but the heartbroken Stansfield urges Sandra to begin a new life without him.
That's so depressing.
That's so sad.
This
First
is
of all, his entire mission was pointless.
It really was.
And now he can't even have his lady
I know.
because she did it and he did not.
And Earth is going to be completely, probably different for him.
Exactly. Now he has no Sandra.
Right. And this was an episode that, usually I'm I know it's going to end bad. Usually does. But, this one, I was like, oh, he's back and they're both going to be old together. Or I saw her first or something and oh.
Yeah,
it
why
doesn't-
couldn't you guys have
Yeah.
texted each other?
Right.
Just be on the same
I'm going to
page.
grow old, okay? Just letting you know.
Those are all that stuff in the movies. You're like, you know what? If you guys had just communicated,
I know.
if you had just told the other person what you were gonna do.
It's a big thing. It's just
I mean,
hold
Romeo
them.
and Juliet. Hello.
I was about
if she
to say
would have
that one.
told him that she was gonna pretend to be dead, then he wouldn't have killed himself.
That's a meme I saw. It's this. I always go back to memes, but there's this person that's like stepping over steps, and all the steps have words on it. It's like waiting literally 5 minutes, like this and that. It's like, yeah, what are you doing?
Yep.
Hold on a minute.
Most like arguments and stuff and problems are miscommunications. So just communicate.
Just say it. Yeah, really.
Communicate, Sandra.
Yeah. So something that they like to do a lot in like futuristic episodes of not just the Twilight Zone, but I feel like the Star Trek and some other stuff, is they really liked the long, dark, empty hallways.
Dark hallway.
Like, maybe that was what they thought the future would be, very sparse. I'm not sure. But that's like something a lot I see in these episodes. It's very sparse, very darkly lit,
It's like they thought the future was going to be dark.
I know. And also,
but now we're all open concept.
I know, it's just I know. I want more light. Give me white walls.
I need natural lighting windows, guys. And then all the buildings are like made of glass.
I know, it's totally different. But the last thing I think I wanted to say about that was, if you look at him when he's old, this was a thing they went through with a phase in like the 1960s, like 70s too, is instead of putting on like a white wig, they like to do like the spray and the paint on the hair. I feel like a wig would have been better. Like if you look at this, it's like it almost looks
Rod
rubbery.
Serling was not involved in the costume.
I know, this isn't his fault. I'm not blaming him. But yeah, if you look at it, it's like it's like streaks of like, you can totally see this on there. And he did it with like, there's one about the Fountain of Youth, like somebody drinks it, but then there's the very logical reason that I've always thought of is, when do you stop getting younger? You know, he just ends up becoming a baby.
Yeah, right.
But that one, he starts old. But I'm like, I wonder why they didn't do wig. Maybe it was cheaper to do the spray. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting. And the last one we have today is the Brain Center at Whipple's. So this was made in 1964, and this was season 5, episode 33. So this is getting to the end. So in the future, I put that in air quotes because of 1967.
Oh boy,
so
the
this
future.
one, he was only going 3 years. This wasn't very far.
Boy.
So Wallace V. Whipple, which interestingly enough is played by Richard Deacon, who's in the Dick Van Dyke Show, which I also really like.
How about that?
So Wallace V. Whipple, an owner of a manufacturing corporation, decides to upgrade his plant to increase output by selling a machine named the, this is so long, X109B114 modified transistorized totally automatic assembly machine, which leads to tens of thousands of layoffs. Some former employees try to convince him that the value of a man outweighs the value of a machine, but their protests fall on deaf ears. His plant manager, Mr. Hanley, reminds him that Whipple's father, who ran the factory for 40 years, while profit-driven, had a sense of responsibility to his factory workers and their pride in their work. Whipple coldly responds that while his father only doubled in his factory production, his competitors quadrupled theirs. Dickerson, an angry veteran, tries to smash a machine, but is shot and injured by Whipple. While Henley visits Dickerson in the hospital, Whipple is only concerned about his equipment. Henley confronts Whipple about it and is then fired after being shown the machine replacing him. Whipple proceeds to replace secretaries with automatic dictation machines, thinking that powder rooms and maternity leave are inconveniences.
Well,
wow. Okay then. Whipple eventually fires all his human employees after replacing them with machines, which then turn on him by spitting out the harsh, recorded parting words of his former employees back at him over and over again, driving Whipple to insanity. So eventually, the board of directors find him obsessed with machines and retire him. Whipple joins Henley at a bar opposite his factory and expresses deep sorrow at his misfortune as he rambles about how it isn't fair that machines are replacing men. How does he have the nerve to say that?
Okay then.
Only when it is hurting him.
Exactly.
So he also admits that he's lonely because he's not married and has no family, and then he feels cast aside like a used part. The last scene reveals Whipple's replacement to be a robot named Robbie the Robot, which swings Whipple's key on a chain the same way he used to. So the very thing that he wanted just destroyed his life.
That's the thing. Machines, they don't care. So
I know.
They're always going to come back and just be non-caring machines.
I know. And this is something too. I mean, again, with the machines, Rod Serling totally could see that machines were gonna take over a lot of jobs. And they honestly do. I mean, if you look at factories now, it's the machines that move like this and they're doing this.
And you can even use like self-checkouts and stuff.
Oh, that too.
You know?
I gotta say, I don't like the self-checkouts. I will
Because
wait
they
for a
never
person.
work.
I know, I don't want to work in a store.
It'll be like, they have the weight thing, so if you put something on the weight, it's like, it's inaccurate. You can't buy a gift card. And what happens? A human comes over anyway and has to fix it. So I'm like, why didn't you just use a human anyway?
Can you pay me for this? I do not work here. I would like someone to help me.
I mean, also just making a point that you cannot just use machines.
No.
That people are better than machines.
I know. You need that interaction. You need their brains to keep giving ideas. You can't just stick with machines. Though they're helpful, I admit. You need them. But I mean, you gotta have workers, real workers who actually care about the factory.
You got people who could take care of the technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all we wanted to talk about today with the episodes. There's more episodes about the future. And there's actually one other one I wanted to mention, but I didn't bring it up. So it was called On Thursday, We Leave for Home. And that one's cool because it actually takes place in 2021.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, but unfortunately it's I think it's season 4, where it was 60-minute episodes instead of 30-minute episodes. And it's not on Netflix where I saw all these. They don't have that season, so I couldn't watch it.
So sorry, you can go find it yourself.
Yeah. But again, that's all we have for today. Hope you've enjoyed this. Comment down below what your favorite Twilight Zone episode is. And now it's time for the news.
Good evening. I bring you some chilling news from a future 900 years from now. The most terrifying thing that we have coming is the fact that due to many people trying to prevent it, donuts no longer exist. This is priority number 1. We need to get people moving. This cannot be the real future. I had a dream last night. I think it was one of the ghosts from the Christmas Carol episodes, because I'm pretty sure it was the ghost of the future. It wasn't about Christmas though, it was just future in general. And I didn't get an answer as to whether this is something we can change or not, but we have to try. This is the important news, Jerry.
No. I had a dream last night. I dreamt that there was a pelican. And the pelican landed on my head. And I expected it to act normal and poop all over my head. But it did not. It told me to go buy peanut butter and pickles and spaghetti and 6 rolls of paper towels and 2 large cartons of pink strawberry milk and a bunch of bananas, and donuts, and donut holes, and Mountain Dew, and cherry Coke. And then I woke up and I realized it was not the actual pelican.
I said no more dreams.
I was getting the climax.
That's not important. Back to the news.
And so in the news, and I just want to say that I found out that it was actually just my list for the next day I had to buy at the grocery store, and for some reason I was taking it in my head because I was stressed about it, and so And now it is time for the Taylor Treasure Box. I also apologize for me looking incredibly sweaty and gross right now. It's just really hot.
Both of us.
I feel like
so
more me than you. It is so hot in here. We don't have an air conditioner. I'm sorry.
How about this? What gives you chills? Not literally. Haha. Well, Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
What gives me chills? We'll just go to Twilight Zone because I can't think of anything else. So that's chilling enough for today.
All right. Okay, so mine is: would you rather everything be too small or too large?
Ooh. I mean, I'm rough either way.
But to be quite honest, I'm used to things being too large because I'm really short. Like
You're not that short.
Okay,
we're talking like Alice in Wonderland. She eats the cake or whatever, and everything's like huge.
Yeah, I know. But I have to, like, when I'm driving, like, I have to, like, it's funny when my dad, he'll drive and then I'll get in. It's like, and I have to have,
she
like,
has a phone book she sits on.
No, it's not a phone book. It's a cushion. Because our car is an optical illusion. There's two little things in the front that stick up, and I can't park straight if I'm not up high enough to see. So I need.
Yep.
Okay. I guess, you know, I have to go with too large because I'm thinking about like a bed, and I'd rather it just be too big because that's not a problem. But if you have everything too small, then you're like, wait, what's the story?
I know that feeling.
Yeah, she has it anyway. She in her bed. She sleeps on an angle because her feet don't go.
Just in general, things are too small a lot of the time. Like finding clothes.
But again, you're not actually that. You're tall for a woman, but you're not really incredibly tall. You're not like basketball
I'm
tall.
not super tall.
No.
I'm just taller.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd go with that. So that's all we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to give this video a like and a comment, and make sure to subscribe. And after you subscribe, make sure to press the bell to get all of our videos in your notifications box. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, which is @TaylorTreasuresOfficial. And we'll see you next time. Bye! And so, the end of Forgetful Bliss is near. It is now time to close the screen and remember. Remember all life's responsibilities you must face. But I assure you, your time here has not been wasted. Being here has given you something to ponder, to question, to reminisce on, and to smile when you are at your lowest. Remember, life's difficulties are not the only thing waiting for you. There's also the other side of life. The beautiful side, the humorous side, the side that reminds you that though there is bad ahead, there is also good. And it is you who must discover which road you would rather walk towards. And now, you've reached the end of YouTube's minus wormhole, or more commonly known as the Twilight Zone.